Folks, happy Friday. Welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson, and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us, folks. Jason, I am so excited. I am already at 10 for this podcast today.
Oh, I got to say, up early, drank a little too much Split Rock coffee. Like, the news is so good. President Trump, so much winning. I mean, even this morning, Todd and I were talking the last day or so. What do we talk about on Friday with our friends? And then more news comes out in the last, this morning you log on. It's like, holy cow, this happened, that happened, the other thing happened. And yeah, so we had to call an audible. We just great videos, great topics. I am so excited, Todd.
And I am so excited to be broadcasting live with our Rumble community. Jason, we stream everywhere. We're on our Facebook properties. We're on YouTube. We're on X. But Rumble, folks, is really where we want to send traffic. If you're watching on Facebook, thanks for watching along here. But find us at Rumble. Go to rumble.com, search out the American Tribune. You're going to see the comments today. We have a great community over there. Oh, we had another chat, so it disappeared. We got Kagan Girl, who is always first. I am first in the show. We need a hat. Kagan Girl's back saying, love the winning going on. So much winning, Kagan Girl. We're going to get into all that. But folks, find us at rumble.com. Look for the American Tribune. You can like the page. You can subscribe to the page. You can follow the page. And we do a Rumble only at the end of the show. And so that's where we want to send everybody, because Rumble is awesome. And that is the place to be.
Well, yeah, and some of this stuff we're talking about, Democrat Party imploding, President Trump doing everything I voted for and more. And I'm just so excited. But like I say, on some of the platforms, we got to couch our language a little bit on the YouTube, on the Facebook, because they get a little cranky about it. That's why we love building a Rumble community, because Rumble, we do an hour on all the platforms. We do another half hour, 45 minutes on the Rumble, where we can just chat and be a little unfiltered. So God love it. And like Todd said, do us a favor, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, give us a share. We appreciate you tuning in. But Todd, what story do we start with today? Is it Trump in D.C. or is it John Bolton?
We got to go John Bolton, Jason. Folks, this is hot off the press here. You'll all recall when a former FBI helmed by Joe Biden raided Melania's panties, and you were told that this was necessary, her panty drawers rather, and maybe did a little sniffing, Jason. You were told they had to defend democracy by making sure Trump didn't have intelligence that he was going to, remember he had nuclear secrets he was going to sell to Iran or something like that. So they raided Mar-a-Lago, former president's home, Mar-a-Lago, and you were told this was absolutely necessary. No one is above the law. Well, Jason, the turntables, how did Michael Scott say it on The Office? My, how the tables turn, the turntables here. John Bolton's home gets raided by Kash Patel's FBI, and this is amazing for two levels. Number one, the left is melting down because Donald Trump is weaponizing the government. And I got to do it already, Jason. I got to share this page here. Wasn't planning on it. Ties in perfectly to what we're talking about. Let's set this up. You got Chuck Todd, the always wrong, the low IQ Chuck Todd. Senators were bullied into confirming Kash Patel. How are you feeling today? It's not like you weren't. He wouldn't weaponize and politicize the agency. And Sean Davis from The Federalist simply replies with a mugshot of Donald Trump. The left is just like, you can't do this. This is weaponizing the system here. But number two, this just has to happen. John Bolton is a criminal. He is a traitor. His home, along with everybody else's homes, need to be raided, and these guys need to be sent to prison.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we got to figure out the graphic thing.
Uh-oh. What's going on here today? Who is running our...
Man, we got to get... Our IT department is jacked up. There we go.
There it is. Whoever is producing the show needs to get fired.
Oh, my gosh. Here, let me straighten my camera. I got to say, this is just beautiful. All the left is screaming authoritarianism, Donald Trump, what's going on? Meanwhile, I'm like, this is what I voted for. And, Jerry Smith, we love what President Trump's doing too. Now, let's give a little history, a little context on this. John Bolton, in my mind, represents the old Republican Party. He is hot garbage. He wants to blow up everything. Donald Trump appointed him. Trump 1.0, one of my criticisms was he continues hiring these warmongers, these awful Republicans. Because don't forget, 2014, all of us, many in our audience, agreed the Republican Party was awful. And guys like John Bolton were running it. Let's go blow up another country. Donald Trump even famously talked about when he did meetings with world leaders, and how did he get peace? He brought John Bolton and he said, okay, here's the thing. Do you want to deal with him or me? And John Bolton was such a warmonger that they'd be like, well, I guess we better negotiate something with you, President Trump. And I love that approach. And John Bolton, I think they're going to find out it's corrupt. He had documents he shouldn't have. He had information he shouldn't have. And I am here for all of it.
Ugh. I voted for this. Jason, the Facebook comments are on fire. Mary saying, love Trump. Rhonda is saying, the best president of my lifetime in caps. Amen, Rhonda. Ernie's over there saying, Trump forever. We got a little shout out to Fally over on the Rumble. Good morning to you, as Fally. Thanks for joining the stream here. Rose on Facebook, he is doing to them what they were doing to us. Love President Trump. Yeah, this is the thing I can't get over here. Dems are shrieking about weaponization of the government, politicizing this, going after political opponents. Folks, you can see the mugshot of then former President Donald Trump. If that's not weaponization and going after your political opponent, I don't know what is. Like, to describe them as being low IQ, brainwashed, doesn't describe it enough. These people live in such a different universe at this point to be like, he can't do that. This is out of bounds. This is unprecedented. Folks, there is a mugshot on your screen. It is all fair play. Donald Trump, A, is playing by their rules, but B, is actually arresting real criminals. You see the difference between Trump doing it and them doing it to Trump? Trump wasn't guilty of anything. These guys are.
Well, and here's what I love. For decades, just decades, my whole life, Republicans, conservatives would campaign on, oh, we're going to do stuff, we're going to drain swamp, whatever we're going to do. And then they would get in power and they would do nothing. And you would see Democrats do all this crazy stuff. Republicans would get in power and then they would be, oh, well, we can't do anything. We have our principles. And you know what? It's great to have principles. We need to have principles. But if you are in a boxing match and they're using 2 fists and you are not using any, you are going to get your face smashed in. And President Trump is smart enough to recognize, okay, I went in term 1, took the high road, didn't lock up Hillary, didn't do that stuff. And what did it get me? They derailed my presidency. Russiagate was one of the biggest frauds in the history of the country. All the facts are coming out on that now. And after he gets out, they lock up him. They lock up anybody associated. His lawyers, they take their license from. And Donald Trump sat there for 4 years fighting off all these court battles, which, I mean, it's not even on the show. Letitia James's huge fine against him got thrown out. Beautiful. And now Donald Trump is in office and he says, you know what? I am not going to do anything other than the new norms. What Democrats established is acceptable conduct, and half the country was going, oh, yeah, Trump, I am going to do that. And you want to call me an authoritarianism, you want to call me whatever, that's great. But like you said, I don't know how you're a Democrat who was cheering every time some other Trump person or Trump himself got gone after by some agency, and now you see Trump doing it. You're like, oh no, this is so wrong.
You know who's reacting that way, Jason? We have Julie over on the Facebook. Julie, where's your picture, by the way? She's saying, get off my Facebook. Stop right now. Julie is immune to facts and reality. I don't think Julie is going to explain her position any more than that. And Jason, you and I spend a little too much time sometime on the trolls, but it's important to point out that there are people like Julie that exist in this world. They vote. They think they're on the right side of everything. And people like Julie defended this mugshot of Donald Trump, and suddenly going after corrupt career criminal John Bolton's home is a bridge too far. We got Julie in the chat still. Thanks for watching along, Julie. We're hoping to change your mind here. We want to change your mind, Julie. The MAGA tent is big enough for everybody. My goal, my dream in life is that every American values America, freedom, prosperity, safety, security, as much as I do. I'm tired of giving illegals everything. I'm tired of sending tax dollars overseas. I'm tired of the communists taking over this country. Julie, let me know what part of that you disagree with.
Absolutely. Should we play the Bolton clip too, Todd? I love this
clip.
Probe dropped when Joe Biden became president. So is this picking up where that left off, David?
It's possible. I don't know with 100% certainty, but it is notable, guys, that John Bolton, Ambassador Bolton's security clearances were stripped earlier this year by President Trump. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, took that security clearance away. They had concerns. The administration had concerns about Ambassador Bolton still being able to access some of these documents and have some of those security clearances. It's also notable that John Bolton had a security detail as well. Because of the threats from Iran on his life, that security detail, that government federal paid security detail, was also taken away by President Trump.
Jason, this is an honest question. Maybe you can explain this for me. Maybe our smart audience can explain this. Why do people like Bolton have security clearances when they're no longer involved in this administration, have never been involved in the administration? Like, if it were me, this is a layperson asking the question. You're a smarter guy than I am. Maybe you can let me know. If I'm not in the administration, why do I have a security clearance anyways? Like, yeah, it's a fun headline to be like, they stripped him of it. Why did he have it anyways? You're done. You're not working with us. Why do you need this?
Yeah, so the government's really funny, where it's one of the few jobs that you go work there for a while and you get like lifetime benefits, either retirement or pensions or healthcare or security details, that sort of thing. Now, I will make an argument in defense of that in certain cases. So, like John Bolton, because he was such a warmonger, he made a lot of powerful enemies around the world, and they're going to go after him, which is why the government wants to protect him. Kind of like the president will get lifetime Secret Service detail, that sort of thing. And I think there is some cause where that could be valid. You know, they know stuff. You don't necessarily want them taken as a hostage or whatever. But John Bolton, for all the things he's done, I have no sympathy or empathy left. When Trump revoked his security clearance, that's actually a really big deal, too, for these guys who come up through that security, because that's how they make money.
Yeah.
Because they have security clearance. So you strip that, they lose the ability to make money. Then you pull their security detail, and now you're raiding his house. I saw this morning, and I've been saying, I podcast Monday through Thursday on Wayne Dupree's podcast with him, and it's funny because I've been saying I'm hoping and praying for the first perp walk. And I'm not talking about some low-level staffer somewhere that gets arrested. I want a name we've all heard about, one of these people we know is awful. I am waiting for the perp walk. I think, and now, Todd, I might need my conspiracy theory hat for this one. I've been saying things are ramping up with what Trump's doing, and I think he's laying the groundwork for some arrests. Now, I don't want to be the trust the plan guy. I don't want to be that. But if nobody goes to jail over all the crimes these politicians have committed, in many cases directly against Trump and his supporters, if nobody's held accountable, it's going to happen again. And I'm taking the raid on John Bolton's house as a first step in that happening. And by that, I mean, everybody hates John Bolton. Republicans, Democrats, everybody hates John Bolton. So I think he could be the normalization step where it's, okay, we raid Bolton. Okay, let's charge him. Let's perp walk him. Let's do all the things. You know, there's a case brewing against Letitia James and Adam Schiff over mortgage fraud. Once again, I think they just use the same policies or practices that they went after Trump for mortgage stuff. Let them deal with it, you know. And I'm taking this as a first shot fired across the bow because it's going to have the least resistance. And I am hoping and praying to see the next domino fall and see who the next person is.
Yeah, you know, Jason, I hope so. I want to get to some comments here before Mary's saying, God bless Trump. Sue's over on the Facebook, Trump for Americans. Ron's on the Facebook. Facebook is busy today. Thanks, Facebook audience. Remember, you can go to rumble.com, look for the American Tribune because we do some extra time on the show. But just head over to Rumble in general because it is a free speech platform. Megan is saying this is freaking awesome. Nancy is saying, let's see the dominoes fall. That's Jason's theory right there. We got James joining the show. Welcome aboard, James. Hope your procedure went well and you're recovering nicely. The other thing, Jason, too, you talked about how setting the stage, getting the groundwork laid so that he can start doing the arrest. FBI raid on Bolton's home is a great start. In addition to that, if they don't do it, it'll just keep happening again if we don't hold them accountable. But Donald Trump himself would be setting up the America First movement for some big backlash if he keeps sending Tulsi onto Fox News, if he keeps sending Cash on the podcast circuit, and they tell you all the evidence that they have. They go out in public and they go on the media channels and they say, hey guys, look at this treason committed by Barack Obama. And they tell you every day that they have more evidence, they're doing hearings. And then you're like, okay, great. When are you going to arrest them? And so if they do all that again, and then they don't follow through on it, like I said, big backlash, because this was it. We voted for Donald Trump to hold these people accountable.
Yes. And if we don't hold them accountable, it's going to happen again.
Jason, we have to pause what we're talking about here.
Oh, no.
Patrick's back. This is the same Patrick from last week. We have a repeat viewer on Facebook. Patrick loved the show so much. He set an alarm. He said, these guys go live at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern here. So I can't even read half the words that Patrick wrote. But the P word, felon, R word, twice impeached, S word, stain, insurrect. I don't know if I can say the I word. Disgrace Trump, likes effing the kids. It's in the files. Patrick decided that he would take every buzzword imaginable spewed out by corporate media propaganda shills to make you hate what's going on. And again, Patrick, I'm going to say the same thing that Jason and I both said last week. Where was your concern? You are centering your comments around the Epstein files. Can you show us your timeline, whether on Twitter, whether on Facebook, where you were expressing concern for what was happening to these girls anytime before 2 weeks ago? That's all I'm asking. Show us your timeline. Show us your outrage for all the other elites in power. Turns out, Patrick, the swamp is large. It is not just Donald Trump. Show us your concern for the Epstein files, the victims of abuse at the hands of these predators, prior to them saying Trump's in the Epstein files. So we will wait.
Well, and I think the big thing too, like uncovered by the news media, Patrick didn't even heard of it. It was Bill Barr testified this week, and he said, hey, yeah, Trump wasn't in the files. I mean, other than what's been publicly disclosed, which for those who don't know, Trump was involved with Jeffrey Epstein insofar as he was a member of Mar-a-Lago. Trump kicked him out. Trump helped with his first prosecution. So there are much more interesting folks on the files. We've said so on the show. We want whoever's on the files prosecuted, processed, that sort of thing. And I love it. And you know what's scary? Guys like Patrick vote. He's uninformed. He doesn't know. He has no idea what's going on. And Todd and I, we started the American Tribune, Freedom from the Press, a little over 2 years ago. And when we started, what was the first topic we dug into on the Substack, Todd?
Wouldn't you know, Patrick? You can go to the AmericanTribune.news, by the way, and find this. This is not Jason and I making up. We wrote extensively on the relationship between, wait for it, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. You can find it all at the AmericanTribune.news, Patrick. Read that. Come back next Friday and let us know what you found out.
Yeah, but it's just so funny that you see these, they call them non-player characters, and for those who've ever played a video game, it's the guy you walk up to in the video game and you click on them and all they do is like say the same thing over and over, whatever they're programmed for. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy to see, and I love it. Should we go into the food story next too, Todd, to maybe so that we can educate people on what and how they get lied to? This is a prime example.
This is a fantastic one. You want the Walmart closing?
Yeah, let's do the Walmart closing. I'm going to frame this up. So for those who don't know, I was a retail executive for like 25, 30 years. I worked the entire retail continuum. Started out as a part-time employee at 16 years old. When I left my job in my early 40s to be an entrepreneur, it was I literally was a regional director in charge of like 270 stores. So I've seen it all, right? And I worked every step along the way, that sort of thing. In big cities, and we'll talk specifically about in Minnesota. If you look at the Twin Cities, in the Twin Cities directly, the Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the direct surrounding communities, it is difficult, if not impossible, to run a store there. The stores are difficult to maintain because people trash the stores, people steal. You have a huge outbreak of number of issues or whatever's going on. It is crazy what happens in there. Now, if you get in the suburbs and out in the rural markets, same retail store is really easy to run. You don't have all the theft. You don't have all the nonsense. Well, now some of these companies are starting to close stores in these neighborhoods. And everybody's screaming, oh no, food deserts because we can't shop. And at the same time, they're screaming, oh, these corporations should keep these stores open. They don't care. You can't prosecute shoplifters anymore. When I started in the 1990s, I remember somebody steals something. You track them down to the parking lot, you tackle them with loss prevention. They get arrested and they get charged. Now you see somebody walking out. If you go to stop them from stealing, you don't need to, like you would get fired. And I think of the stuff I did 20 years ago to stop shoplifting, they would fire you 10 times for that. And it's ridiculous. And now the left is screaming out food deserts and whatnot. But this story, Cory Booker tweeted this today, and it just made my blood boil.
Workers this month as it closed 154 stores in 27 states. Many of them were the only place to buy groceries.
Where are you going to buy your groceries now?
I don't know. It won't be Walmart. I'm done with Walmart.
According to new data, hundreds of Walmart stores across the U.S. have shut down in just the first half of 2025. From Minnesota and California to Texas, entire communities are now left without a single Walmart within a 50-mile radius. What's driving this mass shutdown? The root cause lies in the 2025 tariffs introduced by the Trump administration, which sent food prices skyrocketing, especially for import.
All right, Jason, I got to pause right there because we have Hollis in the chat who apparently doesn't listen to anything we say when we talk about what Democrats are saying in the chat. And our boy Patrick over there, who still hasn't enlisted for Zelensky's Foreign Legion with his blue and yellow flag. They commented that the tariffs were impacting their stores. My question for Democrats then that are consuming this propaganda, why aren't they closing other stores? Why is it that these stores seem to be in specific neighborhoods? Might there be a connection that Jason referenced earlier? Well, and it's hard for those stores, Jason, how come all the stores aren't closing? They have the same things in every store.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too because they say, you know, they want to make some racial component. They're closing stores in black neighborhoods. Folks, for those who don't know, corporations are greedy. Corporations are there to make money. Every single thing you thought, heard, or witnessed about corporations are true. They don't care if it's a white neighborhood, a black neighborhood, a Somali neighborhood, an Indian neighborhood. They don't care if it's on an Indian reservation. They don't care if it's on a mountain in Washington state. Like, they don't care. They want a store to make money. That's what they're in the business of. If they are closing a store, they are not making money. And this crap they're saying about, oh no, this is because of Trump's tariffs. The stores they reference here, their closing plans have been in place for 6 months, a year, 2 years. A lot of times too, Walmart's, they can't just close a store because they got a lease. So they run the store through the terms of their lease unless they're losing so much money that they can't. So, I mean, if you think about that, if you've been in the business, you understand, like, we operate a store. I got a 3-year lease. I'm going to have to run it 3 more years so I don't lose money, unless just leaving it vacant makes me, so leave it vacant, pay the lease, makes me lose less money than leaving it open. Like, these are the formulas these companies are doing. This has nothing to do with the last 3 to 6 months Trump's been dealing with tariffs. It is insane, Todd.
Imported goods. With budgets tightening, consumers have been forced to cut back.
Do you notice what she's wearing in this propaganda clip right here? Like, do you realize what audience they are catering to with this message here?
Sales plummeted, and Walmart, rather than sticking it out, chose to retreat swiftly from low-income areas. The result, thousands of jobs gone, millions facing disruptions to their daily meals. A food supply chain once known for keeping America fed at low cost is now collapsing, starting with 10 key states. In this video, we're taking you through the 10 hardest hit states currently spiraling into crisis as Walmart pulls back.
Also, the idea, if anyone thinks of Walmart, we all have a vision in our head of what Walmart customers look like. And I'm a Walmart customer sometimes, whatever. But there is this stereotype of the Walmart customer. Jason, I look in my little tiny town up here in rural Minnesota. I have a Walmart I got a dollar store. I got an Aldi. I got a Target. I got a Cub, one of our local grocery chains. I have a lot of options to go grocery shopping up here. Why are we just like, there's no Walmart, there's no options anymore? Do these people, like, fine, there's a Walmart closing, you have to go to another Walmart. There are other options still, too. They're like, it's Walmart or bust.
Right. Well, and I don't know. I can only speak to my area and the geographic areas I knew when I was regional director, kind of across the upper Midwest. Like, there's a lot of stores out there. And believe me, if it's profitable for a company to open a store, they're going to open it.
I want to reiterate what you said, too. They are closing their stores because they can't make a profit. They can't make a profit because, A, they have to pay people more to work in these awful places. They have to deal with more theft from the shelves because of certain communities' sticky fingers. They can't make money here based on everything else. And if tariffs were the root cause, then you would expect to see all of the Walmarts closing because they buy the same products in bulk from the same producers. All right, I got to get to this comment, though, really fast here, because Infinity, these guys are so clever. He called us MUGA instead of MAGA, Jason. So Newsom for president. Yes, Gavin Newsom, where all these stores are closing. I don't know if Infinity has seen the videos of like a Walgreens with every single item locked behind the counter, because the same communities responsible for these Walmarts closing led just a basic convenience store like a Walgreens to have to lock every item behind glass so that people wouldn't steal from them. But he wants to make America like California and make that the new norm. So great job, Infinity S, with MUGA. Should we make a MUGA hat, Jason, just to lean into the troll?
Oh my God, we totally should do a MUGA hat. I mean,
Don't look away. Your state might be next. Number 1, Minnesota.
Elsewhere in the metro tonight, a Walmart in Coon Rapids will shut its doors later this month.
Coon Rapids, Minnesota is bracing for something no one thought would happen. The region's largest Walmart is set to close its doors on August 29, 2025. 176 employees will lose their jobs, but the impact goes far beyond that number.
There is so much propaganda in this. When was the last time a Democrat expressed concern for Americans losing jobs? I don't know. Let's import millions of slave labor. Let's send your jobs overseas. Let's promote more H-1B visas so that you, the American tech worker, are out of, you can't compete in that marketplace. A concern for lost jobs? Are you kidding me?
Let's finish playing the clip.
This Walmart isn't just a place to shop. For thousands of residents, especially seniors, retired workers, and low-income families, it's the only reliable source of groceries within a 20-mile radius. Once it's gone, people are left without affordable alternatives. Other stores are too far, public transportation is limited, and delivery fees are out of reach. It all adds up to an invisible barrier that blocks access to basic meals. So why is Walmart leaving?
It used to be people coming and spending $200-$300 for their week, right? Right now they spend at the most $30-$40.
It all started with the harsh tariffs reintroduced by the Trump administration in early 2025. Imported food from Canada and Mexico. Frozen meats produced dairy beans. Saw price hikes of 20 to 35% in just a few months. Shoppers couldn't keep up. They bought less, went for cheaper options, and in some cases skipped meals altogether. Sales dropped sharply. And Walmart, built on ruthless efficiency, made a cold calculation pullout. Coon Rapids is just one dot on the map, but its story is a warning for communities across the country teetering on the edge. When a retail giant exits, it's not just a few empty shelves. It's the collapse of a low-cost food system, the loss of stable jobs, and a blow to the community's sense of security. No need for panic.
No need to panic, says the deep NPR voice making you panic the entire time.
All right, I got to debunk this. This store is 3 miles from my house. This store I have shopped at for 20 plus years. A few facts that this reporter could know if he did the Google. One, this is not the largest Walmart store in the area. It is actually a standard size Walmart. When they first opened this store 25 years ago, the store manager for a decade, her name was Stephanie Britton. She was at this store. The biggest problem they had with that store is it did too much volume for its footprint. For those who don't know, in retail, you build a Target, you build a Walmart. The store, if you build it to do like 50 million and then it does 70 or 80 million, you just don't have enough shelf space, enough receiving room that sort of thing. So this was not the biggest store. The second thing, since this store was open, in order to relieve pressure from the store, they opened multiple stores nearby that were super Walmarts. So now I don't go to this store much because there's actually a second Walmart that is a mile from my house that is a super Walmart. Now, if you look, scroll down on this image, this is a posting from their Facebook page, July 29th, where Walmart says, don't worry, there are 6 Walmart stores within 10 miles. So it's so hysterical. This was a nationwide news program where they talk about it. They literally have 6 Walmarts within 10 miles of this Walmart. And most of those are grocery. So they're super Walmarts. And most of them have been remodeled. 4 of the 6 have been remodeled. I actually have a family member working at a store 7-8 miles from here that is being remodeled currently as we speak today. That news reporter is lying intentionally. He's making it sound like there's no stores, there's no public transit. Where are the old people going to eat? That store is closing because it's right off the highway. Theft in that store compared to nearby stores was ridiculous. It was difficult to maintain. That neighborhood has seen a lot of degradation in the neighborhood, and that's why the store is closing. My wife and I call this Walmart sketchy Walmart because every time we go there, it's like the entire clientele is sketchy, and it's like you feel like you're in the inner cities. It is insane. So this store debunked. They lied. The other thing I want to make, the dude does the interview and says, hey, people used to spend $80-$90 a week here. Now prices have gone up and they're only spending $30. That's the most idiotic take ever, because what the story would be, if it's real, is they're still spending $80, but they're getting less stuff. Like, why would they cut their spending in half or a third? It's the most ridiculous propaganda ever. But people, like, we got Marsha here. It's like, why do Republicans need to lie so much rather than protect a blank living off the country? They aren't true Americans. They are Nazis. Worship a criminal. Don't care if you like what I'm saying. You Republicans are cowards. What are you talking about?
Marsha, I encourage you to listen to the show every week and just get a little truth in your life here. Marsha's probably listening to Scott, what's his name? Scott Pelley. And then this other narrator voicing over the horrific closures of Walmart. Marsha, watch the show a little bit more often and report back in about a month after you've had your brain cleared from all the propaganda. But Jason, I think this video highlights another foundational difference between us on the common sense right. I don't even like to use the word right anymore, but that's the label we'll go with for now. Whose responsibility is it to get groceries and provide groceries for your family? Does Walmart's have in its social contract an obligation to, like, open up stores, profit or loss be damned, and just be nearby and convenient for everybody? Or is it your responsibility as an American, as a husband, as a father, as an individual, whatever the case may be, to either live in a community that has these offerings or drive a little farther, go a little farther to get those offerings? It is not Walmart's job to be right there for you. It is your job to be able to go gather. The idea that Walmart has some social obligation is just absolutely bonkers in the first place. Are they closing, making a huge profit, closing, making a huge loss? I don't even care. You go as a person and get groceries for yourself. You can do it.
Right. And what's so funny is people who think it's someone's obligation to whatever, but yet you, like, why do you even get to vote? If you can't figure out how to get to the grocery store, why should you have a voice in democracy? It's like, I can't even manage the basic foundation of being able to food and clothe myself, yet I should have input on how the country's run. It just blows me away. The other thing that was funny too in this video that I forgot to mention is they talk about delivery prices. Oh man, this is bad. Guess how much these Walmarts within the 10 miles of their store charge for delivery, Todd?
I'm going to say it's free because they compete with Amazon.
It is free.
Oh,
you can get free delivery. Now, some of it gets a little wonky if you're doing like refrigerated stuff or that sort of thing. But the lies in this one clip, and it's such propaganda. You have this like ominous music playing. You have, these pictures of empty shelves. It is crazy what they're doing.
Yeah, I was going to make the point too. Sorry, I was on the Walmart website. I was going to see if we could actually show Marcia the free shipping option if I put a few food items in my cart. I might go back to that here. But my wife works at the St. Cloud Costco, Jason. So those of us outside of Minnesota, St. Cloud is like an hour and a half away from the cities. It's a larger, like, rural city, and it's a hub for everyone else that lives in those very rural communities. Do you know what people do that live like an hour or two from St. Cloud? They plan once a week a trip to St. Cloud to fill up their carts and then have food for the week. So you're telling me that someone that lives in the Twin Cities, a first and second ring suburb, has no other options. They can't even walk 10 minutes or drive 10 minutes. But then the rural Minnesotans out there have the wherewithal to get in their vehicle, plan time on the weekend, drive an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to the St. Cloud Costco, because that's the closest thing available to them, because they actually do live in a real food desert. And again, that's their choice. Good for them. But then they make the effort to go to St. Cloud. I guarantee anyone living in the suburbs of Minnesota or any large urban center can find something closer than these folks do in real rural Minnesota. Everything here is a lie.
Everything here is a lie, and people see this nonsense and they believe it. And I mean, we just pointed out like 3, 4, 5 direct lies that completely change the story. This Walmart has been open for a long time. Any closing of that store would have been long planned out. There are 6 stores within 10 miles, none within 20. They offer free delivery in all these areas. This wasn't the biggest store ever. It was actually one of the smaller stores. How many more lies do we need to point out in a clip to get Democrats to realize you are being lied to?
Yeah, Walmart's... I got to go back to Marcia. Walmart's making me log in. So let it be known it is factual that Walmart offers free shipping. That is just, again, pure propaganda here. Marcia's not letting it go, though. Marcia wants his demise, wants Trump to be gone. Not even related to what she's talking about. The P word, Epstein stuff, that's just nonsense. We don't even need to go into that anymore. But Marcia, we're going to segue into this next year. Donald Trump is negotiating peace in Europe. He has an announcement coming up, Jason, live in 20 minutes. A lot of people are speculating that there might be some end to the war here. We'll see how that plays out. We might have to go to that live for a little bit over on Rumble. But between a potential peace deal in Europe, between a homicide-free week in Washington, D.C., I'm looking at Marcia's picture here. The people that Donald Trump is saving actively right now with his police and National Guard presence are people like Marcia. The poor blacks in Washington, D.C. have been terrorized by a group of teenage thugs. Drive-by shootings, carjackings, homicides, assaults, you name it. Donald Trump has rescued the black community in Washington, D.C., the black community specifically, and Marcia is so brainwashed and so suffering from TDS that she would rather have black urban communities terrorized by a small minority of teenage thugs than restore security, safety, freedom, and prosperity. I don't know how she wakes up in the morning and puts pants on, and I certainly don't know why people like Marcia are allowed to vote.
Right. Should we go see? I mean, we talked about earlier, Donald Trump has Democrats now cheering for crime. Should we play this clip from last night? This is just so beautiful.
National Guard hit the ground in Washington last week. That city's crime fight went into overdrive. And now we're seeing the impact and the dramatic reductions in crime.
Marcia, I hope you're sitting down for this. Patrick, I hope you're sitting down for this. I want your small brains to wrap your head around the numbers that they are going to present to you right now. And you tell me why this is a bad thing.
When the National Guard rolled into Washington last week, the locals seemed skeptical.
The crime is minimal here. There's not really a lot of crime here. It looks like window dressing to me.
But with the Guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
When you have these kind of numbers going down, it basically says this is a success, and that means people feel safer.
Like many big cities, Washington's police department is critically short-staffed.
People who don't feel safe aren't free.
Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association says it is ripe for federal help.
More police generally equals less crime.
How about that, Jason?
So we have Black communities that have been terrorized. Donald Trump sends in the National Guard to clean it up. And Democrats and everybody, all the left wingers are screaming about it. And last week we were playing clips of residents who are like, I hate Trump. I didn't vote for Trump, but I like being able to go to the park or the store in the evening and not get carjacked, robbed, any of those sorts of things. Like, people are happy. No homicides in 7 days. Think of that. The nation's capital wasn't able to go multiple days in a row without a homicide. I think I saw a stat, and I'll get fact checked on this, but it was like the first time in decades that they've gone 7 full days without a homicide in the nation's capital.
And I have to keep hammering the point home, not to make it a race thing, but it kind of is. You've got folks like Marsh over there. Jamie Raskin, sitting Democrat representative, was like, this is oppression. They're trying to like cue up the racist angle, like the patriarchy, the white supremacy angle. How is it racist? I've asked this question for weeks now, to liberate the blacks in Washington, D.C. You're arresting the bad blacks, and that's bad, and you're freeing the good blacks, and that's not good. Make sense of that. I simply cannot hear. You are coming out as pro-crime, pro-homicide if you oppose this. And Marcia can't wait for Trump to be gone so that crime can return to Washington, D.C.
Right. It is truly remarkable that and we joke about it on the show, Donald Trump could come out in favor of oxygen, and what would happen? Democrats would start plugging their nose, and they would say, oh no, like, I'm not breathing, I hate oxygen. I mean, you see these stats, and I don't know how people, why would they not want to be safe?
Yeah.
Maybe Marcia
can
can
have to like
explain
Trump.
that.
I always make the point, most people don't like Trump because of other propaganda they've been spoon-fed for the last decade here. Let's set that aside. Fine, you don't like Trump for whatever reason here. How are you not supportive of less crime, more safety? This is not a political issue. The left will politicize everything. We have less crime in D.C., liberated communities here. I want the National Guard in every major city. This is a success. And Jason, my thing with Donald Trump, yes, I am disappointed. It's never enough. Donald Trump can never do enough for me. Where are the stats here? Carjackings down 83%. That tells me we need more National Guard. I want that to be down to 0. We have robberies down 46%. Okay, I want 0 robberies. I need more federalized police on the streets then. Get these numbers to 0. So, no, are you mad that Donald Trump sent in the National Guard? Well, I'm mad that he hasn't sent in enough National Guard. Let's finally clean up the streets from these criminals.
Yeah, and literally Democrats are coming out speaking against Donald Trump stopping crime. Make it make sense.
I love it when our Rumble community hops on the old Facebook trolls there. Fally says, did you hear that, Martian Patrick? Wake up. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right.
And we got Dee Dee in the chat here. Dee Dee joined us a little late. No problem with that. Dee Dee, welcome aboard. She said she lost track of time. And I think Kev showed up a little late. And I love Kev's comment, though, is Marcia watching on LinkedIn. That's a little inside baseball for social media, but LinkedIn, she probably is.
Oh, my God. So I've been looking at LinkedIn just a little bit. Wayne streams on LinkedIn. I don't know why. Like, I don't understand the upside to it. But, man, if you go on LinkedIn, it is, like, it's the most bizarre.
Yeah, like LinkedIn and Reddit and Blue Sky. I don't know how these people function.
Right. Well, and it's scary to think, like, you'll be walking out in the wild and you'll see these people in the wild and you will, like, they get to vote, they get to drive cars, like, and I'm just, like, I know they've been propagandized. Going back to that grocery video, people watch that and they hear like 10 facts that every single fact that said is wrong. The only thing they got right is the Walmart starts closing. Every other thing they said was incorrect. And people believe that. And it's framed up in this way. And it's just, and if you don't need any more proof that the media is in on it, that I don't know what to tell you. And it's fascinating to see just people who draw those conclusions because, oh yeah, the media told me this. It is crazy.
Yeah, and then I hate to belabor this Walmart story, but it's like, where do you think all the other stores in America get their stuff? They're buying the same produce from the same producers overseas, Canada, Mexico, whatever. Like, so Walmart, Target, everyone buys the same thing. How come it's Walmart specifically, just a few locations that are shutting down? Might there be something else aside from the scary Trump tariffs going into effect that are leading to that? And just, I'm going to tell one more story. You told a retail story. When I was assistant principal in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, this is a first-ring suburb directly north of North Minneapolis. Jason has told many stories about North Minneapolis. If you're from the area, you know what that means. But I'm there, and they closed down the local Target, again, because the demographics are the same as all these other locations where the Walmarts are closing here. Sticky finger communities, just dirtying up the store. You can't staff the store because, A, the people in that community don't want to work there, and B, who would want to work there dealing with the customers every day? So Target loses money, loses millions of dollars, closes the store. And then immediately after that, I'm sitting in a staff meeting and they're talking about how racist Target Corp is because they closed down the Target. Never mind the fact that there's still a Walmart in the area. I think that one might be closing down too, actually. There's other growth, like there are other shopping options. And this just in, Brooklyn Center is surrounded by everybody else. You can go 5 miles down the road and find another Target. But it was the dastardly old whites there. Racism strikes again in Brooklyn Center when they closed the Target because the black community couldn't stop stealing.
Yeah, and I got to say, it's funny too, where on one side of their mouth, it's, oh my gosh, the corporations are evil, they're bad, all they want to do is make money. Then on the other side, they say, but they're racist, so they're closing the stores in the black communities or whatnot. And it's like, wait a second, which is it? Because if they were really just awful, evil corporations that were just worried about making money, and they could make money in the black community, in the inner city, in the urban community, in the food deserts, they would 1000% open stores there. There would be so much competition for stores to open there. Every retailer would want to open every store they could, as many as they could, to make money. I worked for a small retailer at one point in my career that was doing small box stores. And it was funny. You would open a store here and 5 miles away and 2 miles away. I mean, even with big stores like Walmart and Target, from my house where that Coon Rapids Walmart is, you have 6 Walmarts in 10 miles and you have about 8 Targets within 10 miles. The retail is insane, and they will literally open any store on top of each other if they can make money.
I'm debating whether or not to pop Marsha, thank you.
Marsha's on fire.
She is on fire. I gotta say, Marsha, you are sticking around longer than most other trolls here. Nothing you are saying is making sense, but I don't think we've changed Marsha's mind yet. We'll get there. Marsha, tune in every Friday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Marsha, we're hoping to educate you a little bit. I wonder what Marsha would say about this video, though, Jason. I want to switch over to Anna Navarro. She is one of the unbearable, insufferable, unwatchable hosts on The View. And despite all those adjectives, we are going to try to watch and listen for just a second. It sounds to me, folks, I'll let you come to your own conclusions. It sounds to me like she's mad that the Trump administration is trying to find peace in Ukraine. Make of that what you will. But let's listen to Anna Navarro, and I'm sorry in advance, talking about Melania's lovely letter to Putin saying, can you please stop the killing of children?
Category of stuff that's so hypocritical you almost can't believe it. I don't know if you all heard this, but in the Trump-Putin meeting, Trump delivered a letter to Putin written by his wife, Melania, First Lady Melania Trump. And I'm going to read some of it to you because I think we should think about this, okay? So she writes in this letter, part of it. As leaders, the responsibility to sustain our children extends beyond the comfort of a few. Undeniably, we must strive to paint a dignity-filled world for all, so that every soul may wake to peace, and so that the future itself is perfectly guarded. A simple yet profound concept, Mr. Putin, as I'm sure you agree, is that each generation's descendants begin their lives with a purity and innocence which stands above geography, government, and ideology. All right, now let's think about those words. A right to innocence.
All right, I just got to say, Melania, I don't know if she writes the stuff herself or not, but whenever Melania speaks or has stuff written like this, it is beautiful. Her prose, and again, I don't know if she writes it or has a team of writers here, but Melania's voice, whoever comes up with her voice in the public sphere, is incredible here. magical way with words. And again, how do you disagree with that? Please end the suffering. But she will. And I just got to say too, Jason, this clip has more edits than like a Joe Biden video. Like, how many takes did it require of her to just like read a letter? It was like zip, 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 zip.
Security that stands above government, geography, and ideology. And think about what her husband, what Donald Trump is doing to the children of immigrants in America and to U.S. citizen children of immigrants. How many of those children are living with the fear of their parents being dragged through the streets of America, their car windows smashed in, their parents beaten by masked men and disappeared? How about the children in the LA school system that have been grabbed by ICE? How about the Brazilian boy in Massachusetts who was going to soccer practice when he was grabbed?
I actually can't do this anymore. Francis, I was actually going to say this as well. I was most shocked at this video that she could read. So Francis is right there with me. We are on the same wavelength. Like, she can read. That's a start for her, I guess. Kev's over there saying, I bet if you talked to her off the air, that ridiculous accent would be gone. 100%. This is all an act. When I was a teacher in Phoenix, Jason, it was mostly Hispanic. I taught all Hispanic kids. They were great. They were first generation. Like, nothing against the kids themselves. They were not involved in decisions to come to America. Great kids, great families. Still shouldn't be here. But you would talk to these Hispanic teachers, and they would have just a normal anglicized name. Their name would be like Gloria. And then when they introduced themselves to you, they'd be like Gloria. And they would just turn on the Spanish-speaking accent to like dial 100. And you're just like, stop. Just stop already. Just speak normally, please.
Can we make Charo normal again? I mean, I remember Charo. And I just got to break this down. I want you to understand what she's trying to do. First of all, the letter Melania wrote was elegant, was beautiful. Like, God love her for doing that. And President Trump, whatever you think of wars, whatever you think of Donald Trump, he wants wars to stop, people to stop dying. 100%. She's describing what's happening to immigrants. She calls them immigrants. They are not immigrants. They're here illegally. They are illegal immigrants. Say the word. They do, if they gave birth here, until birthright citizenship is decided, their children are residents of the United States or citizens. Sorry. She wants you to feel guilty because Donald Trump is sending the parents home. So she's saying, sure, you came in illegally. Sure, you had a kid who, congratulations, they got U.S. citizenship. Your parents now should be able to stay. Who on earth gets to benefit from the spoils of a crime? If you just look at it as an approach, as how we want to tactically do things, at no point has that been a predicate of America. Like, you shouldn't benefit from your crimes. Now, Donald Trump has encouraged people to self-deport. He said, hey, if we caught you, we're going to send you home. You have the option to leave your kid in America with other family members or take your kid with them. Right now, all those people living in fear could call up immigration, say, hey, I'm here illegally. I'd like to return to my home country. And there are actually programs to facilitate you going home. You could then re-enter America, come in the legal way, all those sorts of things. But they're trying to make you feel bad because you are going to hold somebody accountable who broke the law, and then you are not going to let them profit from breaking the law. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I love this comment here. Where did it go? If Biden didn't open the borders, none of this would be happening. Yes, but these people can't look backwards 2 steps. They certainly can't look forward 2 steps. Correct. If we didn't have them come in the first place, then it wouldn't be a problem. But she supported their arrival. Again, no human being is illegal, even though Anna is too thick to understand that Democrats in power don't view them as any more human than you do. They view you as pawns and just they're a number on a spreadsheet to get more counts for the House of Representatives apportionment and for the Electoral College. They are simply using illegals to go for more power. Anna won't recognize that, though. Also, though, by the way, Jason, Anna's a great example of why we need to limit immigration, because once you are here as an immigrant, you will always be team immigrant and not team America. She will never understand the America First message, making the country great, the country that she came to, lives in, and enjoys the spoils of, she'll always side with the immigrants because you can't undo that. But I got to go back. Like, she is mad about peace in Ukraine, and she's trying to play the what if game. You can hold two different thoughts at the same time. You can say, yes, I fully support ending the war in Ukraine because there is suffering and slaughter and meat grinder action going on there that is just horrific, and I want it to stop. And also, by the way, I'm mad when Trump's president and kids are in cages, and I'll just ignore all the missing kids under Joe Biden and the cages that kids were put in apparently under Joe Biden and Barack Obama, the ones that he built. I'm going to be very selective about my outrage when it comes to the kids of illegal immigrants.
Right. And, it's funny, all the people talking about the P word that we can't say on some of these platforms, and Trump's a P word with Epstein and rah, rah, rah. Where were you guys when 300,000 unaccompanied minors, that's the documented number. That's not even, like, we don't even know what the real number is. That's how many kids they know, unattended kids. Do you think those 300,000 kids are having a very good scenario right now? Where were you screaming about that? When Trump in term one, when the Sound of Freedom movie came out, he brought trafficking to the forefront. You all called us QAnon conspiracy theorists because we supported and encouraged Sound of Freedom and, like, let's go after trafficking. You guys are insane. I'm talking to the Democrats.
100%. And did you know Joe Biden's administration had a hotline for minors placed in the custody of adults other than their own biological parents? 60,000. I think the number was 60,000. We did a Facebook video on it. Unanswered calls in Joe Biden's administration. So if my number is correct here, I might be making this up. I'll fact check myself and say I don't know. But I think it was like 60,000 calls went unanswered by the Biden administration of kids checking in with them saying, hey, you placed me in this home. We don't know what they were calling about because the calls weren't answered. The phone wasn't picked up. But can you imagine? They may be like, this isn't a good place for me. I got Jose over here who's not my dad, and he's getting a little handsy right now. Anna didn't care about that. She doesn't care about the kids. And I got to say this too, Jason. I'm really fired up about this topic as well. Kev made the point, I want 6 a.m. raids and about 75 people at once. Total sound and fury. Amen. And again, if Trump did 75, I'd be mad. I'd want 100. That'd be a start. When you place your compassion in the lap of the illegals, criminal or otherwise, if you're here illegally, you need to go. You're not entitled to live in America. You all need to go home. When you place your empathy there, you naturally don't have any empathy for the people already here. It is a one or the other binary situation. Are you concerned about Americans, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens, or are you concerned about illegal criminals? And it can't be both. If you say, I don't want to deport anybody, you're saying, I don't care what happens to the good people in this country. You get harmed by them. You can either deport the illegals or keep them here, but then she will have, I don't want to say this on Facebook anymore, actually, Jason. I'm going to stop what I'm saying right there. But it's one or the other. If you are cruel to the kind, you will be kind and kind to the cruel. She has her empathy completely upside down.
Well, and actually, it's probably a good spot to cut off the Facebook, the YouTube. But before we do, could you just pull up that tweet I dropped in? I don't need mine, but the Associated Press.
Yeah, I just want to say
this ties into what we're talking about. Hey, we got Big Bad over there. They got their redistricting map done in Texas. Way to go, Big Bad. I saw this last night, a tweet from the Associated Press. The Trump administration says it's reviewing 55 million people with U.S. visas for potential violations. And my response was, am I the only one who didn't realize there are 55 million people in America on visas? And we'll talk about it after the break, but this ties into what Anna's talking about. We're going to have some fun with math. But on that note, we got to log off Facebook, YouTube. Todd, do you want to tell everybody how to find us on Rumble?
Yeah, rumble.com, folks. It is just like YouTube. If you're going to the URL, you're on your desktop here, rumble.com. If you're getting the app on your phone, it's a green play button. YouTube has a red play button, but go to your app store, get Rumble, just type in Rumble there. It'll populate. It'll be the first option you have, little green play button. Download that on your phone. I don't think you have to log in, but you can log in to subscribe to the channel, but then look for the American Tribune. That's the channel where we are live streaming from. Couple comments here saying that we aren't on the live feed. I got thoughts on that. Rumble doesn't see us as the big player yet, but we're trying to get there. We need all your help. Subscribe to the channel, get that channel count up. But rumble.com, we are just getting started. We have another hot, spicy take for the next half hour as we dive into more issues on immigration, more Biden corruption. DeSantis just blew the lid on another scandal of Joe Biden's related to the census. We got to talk about that as well. But our Facebook audience, Facebook was hopping today. We had some great troll action here. I hope our Facebook audience, Marsha, Patrick, come find us on Rumble. Come open your minds up a little bit. We hope to change your minds here. But we will be closing the Facebook feed right now. We'll be saying goodbye to our very paltry YouTube audience as well. No YouTube comments today, Jason. But we're just getting started, folks. We're going to take a 60-second break. We're going to cut the feed on Facebook and YouTube, and we will be back on the other side.
See you on the flip side.